when he comes to a P. Diddy party. This is what happens to the white man. When they come to one of my parties, this is what happens to them.
One of entertainment's biggest powerhouses comes crashing down.
I was up, but I made no excuses. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry.
A year ago, Sean Combs stood in Times Square and was handed a key to New York City. Today, he's been indicted and will face justice.
Diddy just collapsed in court. His world shattered in a single moment. A moment that most thought would never come. The judge locked eyes with him, and with a voice that cut like a blade, dropped the hammer. Years incarceration, a prison sentence so severe, so undeniable that even the most diehard defenders fell silent.
After the monumental verdict in the Sean Diddy Combs criminal trial, the question now is, what is next for him, right? You got sentencing, civil suits, a lot to get into. So while Combs was acquitted of racketeering conspiracy and the sex trafficking charges that he was facing, he was convicted of transportation to engage in prostitution. Currently, sentencing is set for October 3rd. However, there is a hearing set for July 8th, where the defense will be arguing for the sentencing date to be expedited, to happen sooner. Obviously, they want that, considering Combs was also denied bail yet again, despite arguments from his legal counsel after the verdict that he should be released on bond. It didn't happen. They want to make sure this happens as quickly as possible. But what will he be sentenced to, really? That's the question. And also, will the government seize his assets? What about all of those civil lawsuits that he faces? Again, a lot of questions, a lot to get into. So for all of this, let me bring on former sex crimes prosecutor and criminal defense attorney, the great Matt Murphy is with us. Matt, good to see you.
Happy to be here, as always.
Got to ask you your reaction to the verdict. Is it what you expected?
Well, hearkening back to, I don't know, we were talking about this, you and I, a couple of months ago, and I got to say, you know, whether it's fun to be right or not in a case like this, we were both right. This was never a good fit for RICO for a lot of different reasons. And the consent element regarding the sex trafficking was always problematic. And I thought the prosecution here did a good job presenting their case. They did a good job presenting their theory. But when you match in a trial context, when you match like professorial and kind of plotting, which is the way a lot of government lawyers are, versus dynamic and engaging and that personality of the defense, it's always a mismatch. You're always up against it. And the Mann Act, like we talked about, I thought he was going down on that after like the second day of testimony. The problem is, for the prosecution, the Mann Act is a very old law, and it was essentially legislative morality from about 100 years ago, where it was transporting prostitutes across state lines. The intent may have been good. It was essentially a very early version of sex trafficking, but it was really more an attempt to stop prostitution, which is, as we know, never going to happen. So almost every lonely guy in New York City who's going through a divorce, who is having a problem in the dating pool, who has some sex worker drive over from New Jersey, if he buys her Uber or his Uber, theoretically, that's a violation of the Mann Act. So that is it's not the same type of crime. There's no mandatory minimum under federal law. The judge does not have to. That. Right, they don't have to. Now, it carries up to 10 years per event, so he faces up to 20 years. The prosecution, I think, is asking for 46 months or something like that. They're asking for far less than that.
If the case was, if they had called, let's say, Christina Courtroom, okay, this chief of staff who had been mentioned, I think, by almost every witness, and she said, hey, listen, there was a criminal enterprise, okay? We were all a part of it. Everybody knew what the job description was. My job was to do this. His job was to do this. You think they would have gotten racketeering? If they didn't include Jane, who was arguably the more problematic testimony, I mean, Sean Combs still paying her rent, messages that she was setting up a lot of these sexual encounters.
The courtroom froze. The mighty had fallen. This wasn't speculation. This wasn't internet drama. This was the raw, uncut downfall of one of the most powerful figures in entertainment history. Inside that courtroom, you could feel the tension in the air. Every breath felt heavier than the last. Diddy sat there surrounded by lawyers, but none of them could save him. Not this time. Not from this. The arrogance, the smirks, the designer suits gone, stripped away. What remained was a man who knew it was over. When the judge read the sentence, it wasn't just words. It was judgment. It was retribution. It was a reckoning. And he collapsed physically, emotionally, spiritually. The weight of decades of deceit finally came crashing down on his back. The courtroom didn't erupt. It went still, like everyone knew they were watching history. The fall of a titan. The charges were brutal. Federal level, concrete, built on years of investigations, testimonies, leaked footage, witness statements. The illusion wavers. Persona begins to crack.
You know, Cassie had messages too that were problematic that showed, if we're talking about whether she was a willing participant or not, but if you focus just on Cassie and you didn't call in Jane, or you didn't call in Amia, or you didn't call in a Brianna Bengolan, if you limited the case, and now it's so easy to play, you know, Monday morning quarterback or armchair lawyer here, but do you feel that the prosecution could have won this case if they structured it differently, if they called different witnesses?
That's a great question, and that's something that these prosecutors will literally be wondering for the rest of their lives, for the rest of their careers. They're going to be wondering if they'd done it differently, would the impact upon the jury and would the result have been different. The fundamental problem, I think, is that this was kind of always a round peg in a square hole. The arson, that domestic violence video that we all watched, that's horrific. All of that should have been prosecuted as state crimes in Los Angeles. That as a fundamental, starting point.
Well, they couldn't do it now. It was
They
time barred.
No, of course, the statute is run on everything.
Yep.
But that would have been, he would have been prosecuted for exactly what he did instead of predicate acts into a RICO theory. Now, RICO, as we know, was designed for essentially mafia organization, for organized crime. And the idea is simply because there's a legitimate business, like in The Godfather, they had a legitimate olive oil importing business, and that was but it was still a criminal enterprise. The real thing was the mafia. The real thing was the organized crime surrounding the Corleone family, to use an example that everybody can probably relate to. So simply because their olive oil importing business was legitimate, that's not a defense to a RICO thing. That's the current state of the law. What they did here is they took a business that was always legitimate, Bad Boy Records, that was always and the purpose is to make music and make money. Everything surrounded that, and the defense argument, which they obviously argued very effectively, was that is not a criminal enterprise. So the very first element of RICO has always been problematic from the very beginning. You and I talked about that 2 months ago when this whole thing started, and the jury. This was a sober jury that the questions were serious and direct, and they sent that note out regarding juror 25 right at the very beginning, saying, "Hey, this guy's not deliberating," and so this was a serious group, and the Mann Act, they did convict on that, so they were. By the fact that that it was unanimous meant that they were getting along. Federal juries tend to be, in California anyway, we have. They draw our state juries off the DMV database. That's how you get jury duty, is from the DMV. Federally, it's based on voter rules. So it's people who are conscientious enough to actually vote, and you tend to get a more serious class of juror in federal court, which I think is interesting. So to answer your question, it's something that we could kick around for years.
Sure.
But I think the fundamental problem here is that it was always kind of a misfit for a RICO theory. Just like the sex trafficking, sex trafficking requires fraud, force, or coercion, right? So that essentially is the same elements of rape. So you essentially, it's transporting somebody under circumstances that equate to rape. Is something forceful, something fearful. That it just doesn't fit very well here, especially when you're talking about all these people who they're orbiting him. They're all trying to advance their own career. And when the defense attorney got up and said, Cassie got $30 million as a result of her settlement, right? And that was a big move. Yeah,
I wasn't sold for that personally, because I was like, the prosecution came back and be like, she already settled. What's her incentive to come here and lie? What's her incentive to be a part of this? And that for me, but I think the messages, the
digital trails, NDAs, and more. This wasn't just a hit piece, it was a demolition. And the prosecutors, they weren't playing. One by one, Witnesses came forward. Not just anonymous figures from the shadows, but names, faces, people with stories that made the walls shake. They told of parties that weren't parties. They told of manipulation, blackmail, exploitation, coercion. They told of a man who used fame as a weapon and luxury as a trap. And through every story, Diddy's name echoed like a curse. It wasn't just the parties. It was the tapes, the secret footage, the rumors that are no longer rumors. Rooms with cameras hidden behind mirrors. Conversations recorded. Moments of humiliation stored and weaponized. Those tapes weren't fantasies. They were real, and they were submitted as evidence. 50 Cent had warned everyone. For years, he said the truth would come out. For years, he told us there were tapes. And now the courts confirmed it. 50 wasn't trolling. He was forecasting, and the prophecy came true. The courtroom heard it all. They saw the footage.
And employees of that business and other close associates to get his way. A year ago, Sean Combs stood in Times Square and was handed a key to New York City. Today, he's been indicted and will face justice.
U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Damian Williams, is talking about 54-year-old Sean Combs, a.k.a. Diddy, the musician, producer, and business mogul who rose to fame as one of hip-hop's biggest personalities.
New York, we did it! Harlem, we did it, motherfucker, we did it! The Bronx, we did it! Let's go! The key to the city! Yeah.
But now, Combs is charged in a federal indictment, accused of sex trafficking and racketeering. How did we get here exactly? To answer that, we have to venture back to Combs' rise among the Hollywood ranks.
Diddy was born in Harlem after his father was murdered. He went to an all-boys Catholic school and then went off to Howard University. And that's when he started throwing these parties. And Diddy was always the life of the party.
What's up, y'all? Coming here live from London. Extremely humble, grateful, and blessed. Just got nominated for a Grammy.
Eventually, he obtained an internship at Uptown Records, and that is where his career in music begun.
Today's honoree is the first male rapper to be honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, honoring Sean Diddy Combs.
Not only is he a rapper, not only is he a music mogul,
When it came to music, entertainment, alcohol, anything that he touched, he had the Midas touch.
Congratulations. Let's get that chair shot one more time. Make sure y'all got it.
And over here with the cheers. Love it.
His empire extended well past his kind of rapping career. That's where he was making more of his money, actually, was off of his, I guess, material empire.
They listened to the wiretaps. There was no escaping it. No spin, no PR stunt. The judge didn't just see a celebrity. He saw a predator, a man who believed himself untouchable, a man who built a kingdom on secrets and shame. You used your power to destroy others, the judge said. Now it's your turn to face the consequences. And with that, it was done. The sentence handed down. Years behind bars, no suspended sentence, no house arrest, no loophole. Diddy is going to prison. Period. The reaction was immediate. His team tried to stay composed, but the panic was visible. His family broke down. Some fans cried. Others they cheered because for them, this was overdue. This was justice. This was balance, finally being restored. And the industry, it shook. Contracts vanished overnight. Brand partnerships pulled. Radio stations began scrubbing tracks. Celebrities who once smiled in selfies with Diddy suddenly went silent.
The problem is when you have that culture and you don't have people telling you no, you don't have parameters and guidance. And it just seems to get more and more extreme.
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's just up.
As Combs' fame and fortune grew, so did his circle of friends, and word of his notorious parties quickly spread.
I've got a lot I can't tell. So, I can't tell that one either.
Everyone knew about the infamous Diddy parties. And at one point, everyone wanted to go to the parties because the who's who, the A-list would go to the parties. You can go down the list of celebrities who would go.
However, rumors were swirling that these parties, attended by some of entertainment's biggest names, weren't your typical soiree. They allegedly had a dark side.
I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times. 4 times. Just to protect my integrity and that I was telling you about. Right. Because P. Diddy be wanting to party. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no. I did. I did.
As these parties went on, people started noticing some allegedly illegal conduct or nefarious conduct that was happening.
Hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it. And it was, but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at.
There have always been whispers and rumors about what happens at Diddy's parties after midnight and how things can get really crazy, and also allegations of sexual assault and abuse.
We just got back to headquarters. Everybody take a shot. Sandy, was it DeLeon tequila?
These rumors and these stories would come up, but just as almost quickly as they'd come up, they'd often fall by the wayside. I think a lot of people looked the other way or just thought these stories were way too crazy to be true.
It was also his mentorships and interactions with up-and-coming stars that drew attention too.
Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy. You know, where we hanging out and what we doing, we can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me, and we gonna go full crazy.
Whether it be for hip hop, music, African American or black culture, Sean Combs has always been seen as a pillar of bringing it to the mainstream. You see individuals like Usher and even Justin Bieber who followed thereafter kind of coming through the roots of Sean Combs, through his tutelage, through his experience and through his connections.
People would bring their artists to Diddy, and we're starting to see videos of that.
Yet it wasn't all highs for the superstar. Over the years, Diddy's fame came with several run-ins with the law, one of the most infamous being Combs' arrest in 1999.
December of 1999, Sean Combs, his then girlfriend Jennifer Lopez, their bodyguard, and a young and up-and-coming rapper by the name of Shine all go to a nightclub. There was a dispute, and according to at least one of the 3 victims that were shot, Sean Combs is the one that shot that person.
I came here today just to tell the truth, so hopefully we can get down to the bottom of this. I'm 100%, the charges against me are 100% false, and hopefully due to time, we'll start to see that.
J-Lo was quickly not prosecuted. DP declined to prosecute, so she's out of it. Sean Combs, the bodyguard, and Shine all go to trial.
How y'all doing this morning? Excuse me. We're gonna win.
The empire began collapsing like a house of cards. No more private jets, no more yachts, no more VIP lounges. Just concrete walls, metal bars, and a cold steel bunk. The reality is setting in. Diddy, the mogul, the icon, the myth, is now Diddy, the inmate. 50 Cent wasted no time. He posted a photo of Diddy's court sketch with a caption that said it all. Told y'all, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. And he's right. This wasn't about beef anymore. This was about justice, about truth, about the system finally catching up to someone who thought he could outrun it forever. And while Diddy faces his sentence, others are shaking in their boots because the files didn't stop with him. Names were named, connections made, and network exposed. The prosecution hinted at ongoing investigations. More shoes are going to drop. But right now, all eyes are on the man who once sat on top of the world, now preparing to be processed like every other inmate. The road to this courtroom was paved with blood, pain, and silence. Victims who were told to keep quiet, whispers that were buried under luxury and fame. Survivors who thought no one would ever believe them. And now their voices were heard. Their stories mattered. Some cried in the gallery, others just nodded. For them, it wasn't about revenge. It was about closure.
Great life. I've settled $4.125 million with Diddy. Okay, but he's scared that I was exposed. I seen the liquid cocaine, I've drank it myself. Having sex with Diddy and Cassie. Okay, it's not good. He drinks it all the time.
At one point in time, Sean Diddy Combs was one of hip-hop's wealthiest moguls. His years in the spotlight brought success and pitfalls, but he always seemed to land on his feet. That is until 2023, when his strong arm of influence began to unravel in the wake of a controversial lawsuit.
There's one thing to go on an interview or go online and accuse someone of something, but the second there's a lawsuit involved, I think is a powerful, powerful move. Cassie was incredibly brave to put her story on paper.
In her civil lawsuit, Cassie said that she was the victim of abuse, sexual assault, and rape at the hands of Diddy.
Cassie alleged she was victim of sex trafficking, that she was forced to engage in sex acts with male prostitutes, that she was threatened, that she was a victim of violence. She's alleging essentially that this was one big ongoing criminal enterprise.
We learned from Cassie's lawsuit that she did try to date rapper Kid Cudi and that Diddy allegedly blew up his car and told her that he was gonna blow up his car. She did allegedly suffer at very high lengths his abuse.
It took her years, obviously, to get the courage to come forward. In the shadow of Me Too, where we're talking about, believing women and believing these victims, a lot of people did not believe Cassie and called her a gold digger.
While these were certainly explosive revelations, this was not the first time we heard this. Back in 2018, a seemingly random interrogation of a suspect in Florida in an entirely unrelated case now may be a crucial clue.
Do you know Sean Combs?
Puff Daddy.
Yeah.
P. Diddy, whatever you call himself.
Yeah.
Jonathan Odie is a sex worker, stripper, porn star, and in 2018 he was arrested for basically shooting up Donald Trump's Miami golf course. It's crazy, he gets arrested, and during the interrogation he says at the time, which sounds completely outlandish, that he was, and he does like the kind of air quotes, a sex slave to Diddy and his girlfriend Cassie.
He's part of what's called the Boule. The Boule is a branch of the Illuminati. I had settlement with Sean, okay? And he belongs to that agenda. That's why he's so famous. They land all the contracts.
Jonathan Odie had beef with Trump, with Obama. People didn't believe him when he said that he was involved with drug-fueled sex parties with Diddy.
I had sex with Cassie and Sean. I had like 15 encounters and I heard a lot of business. I was like a sex slave, okay? For them, that's what I was.
He, some kind of just like low profile stripper, porn star, is a sex slave to Sean Combs. At the time, it sounds absolutely ridiculous. But Cassie's lawsuit seems to be corroborating what Odie is saying.
Cassie Ventura's lawsuit that was filed in November of 2023 came under the New York Survivors Act. The law allowed for people to be able to sue who were victims of sexual assault, no matter how far back it goes. So she filed, I think, probably the day before the deadline or the week of the deadline. It was settled within 24 hours of the filing itself for an undisclosed amount. Once she filed her lawsuit
about seeing the man who hurt them finally pay the price, Diddy's legal team tried everything. They argued fame. They argued legacy. They even tried to paint him as a misunderstood genius. But the evidence didn't care. The judge didn't care. The victim certainly didn't care. Because power doesn't excuse evil. Success doesn't erase scars. And celebrity isn't immunity. The media is going wild. Every headline is a nail in the coffin. Photos of Diddy's hollow expression. Video of him being let out of court. The once untouchable icon now in handcuffs. And this isn't the end. It's the beginning of his downfall. From bad boy to prison cell. From platinum plaques to prison jumpsuit. From champagne to cold water and concrete. And the irony he once sang about being, "Can't nobody hold me down?" Well, now he's being held down, literally. The fans are divided. Some refuse to believe it. Others are deleting playlists. But the truth doesn't need belief. It stands on its own. And this truth, it's loud, it's brutal, and it's final. Even some of the most protected voices in entertainment are beginning to speak. Former collaborators are distancing themselves. Former friends are reevaluating. The silence is being broken slowly, steadily, irreversibly. Because Diddy's fall isn't just his own. It's symbolic. It's a message to every powerful figure who thought they could operate in the dark forever. To every predator hiding behind a microphone or a studio or a red carpet. The game has changed. Diddy walked into that courtroom a mogul. He left a convict. And every step he took out of that courthouse was a reminder that no throne is safe when it's built on lies. This isn't the end of the conversation. It's the start of a new chapter. One where victims are believed. One where power doesn't guarantee protection. One where karma finally knocks loud, violent, and undeniable. He thought the world would always love him. He thought he could bury the truth under diamonds and records and fame. But you can't bury pain forever. It grows. It furs. It waits. And when it explodes, it takes everything down with it. And now Diddy is alone. Stripped of image, stripped of influence, stripped of everything except the consequences. No entourage, no music, no distractions, just silence. Cold, echoing silence. This isn't just a fall. This is a collapse. A total implosion of legacy. A career rewritten in real time. The history books won't talk about the records anymore. They'll talk about the trial, the sentence, the breakdown. Because when you build an empire off of pain, eventually it all comes back. And when it does, it's louder than any beat you ever dropped. Game over.